Hello and welcome, family, to another episode of Beyond Six Figures, the podcast that helps you crack the code and break the mold of old habits and thinking. I'm your host, Yazze, and it is my mission to help you cultivate a mindset that is worth more than millions. And today, we answer the question about what does it take for you to close the gap between who you are and who you want to be. We even go as far as to introduce you to another system that can possibly help you change your life. And I have none other than my guest, Coach Kitch, or Coach D-Kitch on all platforms. And today we go over the systems that he developed and the book that he written, and also how you can utilize these philosophies for your life. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode with Coach D-Kitch. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm loving this, brother. I love what you're doing. I love the whole message behind it. It's something I wish I had when I was coming through this. So I'm jacked up, man. I'm ready to share some love and have some fun with this.
Okay, cool. Well, man, look, I made my notes. I did my research, did some digging, and let's start off at the top of this thing. So you are a former D1 coach, right? Everybody loves it. Strength and training coach, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, man. So it seems, and you also saw that you was a PhD candidate. So you are skilled in this area. I was once on my school's powerlifting team. So I mean,
Okay.
kind of this, yeah. So very much same in the strength conditioning, but I understand how detailed that position can be, right? When it comes down to lifting certain weights and how you lift things. Tell me, what got you into this into this area of training, and what is kind of the thought going into it, and what did you learn when you came out of it?
Yeah, man. So I got into strength and conditioning, honestly, in high school. Like I realized that one, I was genetically gifted. I was bigger and naturally stronger than a lot of people. I played football, so obviously it worked out well for me. And then when I realized that if I could stay disciplined with my training, then I could really open the gap between me and other people. I could start to create this competitive advantage by lifting, right? So it became, I was the guy that was working out twice a day, every day. And so that kind of translated. And then in college, I ended up hurt and I blew my knee 3 times in 2 years. And so I spent a lot of time with the athletic trainers. And so I learned a lot from them about, rehabbing injuries and rehabbing and getting back to the playing field and those types of things. So then after that, I got the opportunity to coach at the high school level. And I was like, all right, I want to be a strength and conditioning coach. I'm not really sure what this looks like. I'm not really sure how to do it. I don't know if it's a real job, but it's what I want to do. And so I wrote letters to every strength coach at the Division I level on the East Coast. And I said, I will quit my job and come work for you for free if you give me an opportunity. And so I was fortunate, man. I got an opportunity out in Pittsburgh. And so I quit my full-time job, packed up my Jeep, and I drove out to Pittsburgh and worked for free for about 5 months. And then from there, man, the journey took off.
You were not playing. You were serious about this. And I love that. Because when it comes down to having a certain goal or vision, you have to be determined. So tell me, were you always this just determined about your dreams? Or was it something going on in the background that kind of just pushed you a little bit further or harder?
I think I always have had the ability to bet on myself. And part of that is from my upbringing. I was raised in a single parent household. I saw, some things at a young age. My stepfather struggled with addiction and stuff. So I got to see some tough things growing up. And so I became the man of the house at like 11 years old. And so I always kind of had this, I don't want to call it confidence because I don't know if it was real confidence at that time, but I always had this ability to like just bet on me because I had to. Right. And so as I got older, I think that kind of cultivated and manifested itself in some of the decisions that I made early on in a bad way. And then also when the opportunity came up, it manifested itself in a good way. And I was able to say, you know what, man, I'm just going to go for it. And like whatever happens, happens. And I'm a firm believer that the safest bet you can ever make is on yourself.
Man, and why do you believe that?
Because you determine what failure is.
Yeah.
right? So like you determine when the clock's over, like, you know what I'm saying? When the clock hits zero, that's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you just keep going, you can't fail, right? So it's the safest bet you can always have. It may not end up the way you thought it would end up,
Mhm.
but you'll learn lessons along the way. You'll be a better person on the other side of it.
So when growing up, it seems like, the story seems to be come from a single parent home. So you really didn't always have that support system or even that guidance system. How did you and talk to the people who are out there? If someone's trying to come from where you came from, or even worse scenario, and looking for that guidance and looking for the wisdom and support system, how did you cultivate that? And where could someone start?
And man, I was extremely blessed because, I talk about coming from a single parent household, but I always tell people at the same time, my life was not an A&E late night special. Like I was blessed, man. My mom is a
There it is.
superhero. Grandma is a
Mhm,
superhero. Like those two
mhm.
are savages.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they were very strong female role models in that my grandmother was a hospital administrator, and then went on to be the director of healthcare for the state prison system in Pennsylvania. And
Let's
so
go.
she was a strong woman in business, a strong woman in healthcare. My
Mhm,
mom went back to school, became a nurse, is now resident care director for an Alzheimer's unit. And so I was
mhm,
fortunate to have those two there. But
mhm,
then my coaches as well poured into me, man, on levels that I can never thank them for. There's
mm.
just too much there. And so there was a lot of people that kept me from going the wrong direction, and when kept me out of my own way. You know what I mean? It almost seems like when I look back, there were some things that happened that it's almost like, man, there were so many people looking out for me and I didn't even realize it. And I was doing everything I could to go the opposite direction, and people were keeping me, on the track.
Look, man, I think in our adolescence, we always try to go the opposite way. We don't understand like the wisdom that these adults are trying to give us sometimes. But it's necessary that we take our own journey and, carve our own lane. So I definitely understand that, because I've seen a lot of brothers, definitely go against the grain when it was actually giving them good direction. But you come back and you find that you appreciate it, right? In your 30s, you're like, oh, my mom was right. You may not call her and tell her, but it's like, oh, yeah, she was definitely right about this.
Facts.
Because I'm sure as a coach, you found that to be the similar thing. Like I'm thankful for gentlemen like yourself, because my background is similar in the sense of single parent home, and it took a village to raise me. So it was like I had either coaches and or mentors of some sort pour into me. So having your background and still being able to have the room and the space to pour into someone else means that you were just operating on a different vibration. Like you had to not only deal with the things you had going on in your background, but you also had to turn around and say, okay, I'm gonna pour into this child, or this person, or this young teen. So I say all that to say, to bring it around to this point, I would like to know, was your experience as a coach, is that what kind of poured into the idea of you becoming a motivational speaker and developing what I see here is a self audit system, and you call it the Scoreboard? Can you tell me a little bit more about that whole
Yeah.
project and idea?
No doubt, man. So when I got into coaching, I got around people that were, like you said, you put it perfectly, operating at a higher vibration. Like they wanted to be the best version of themselves as far as the
Hmm.
coaches that I was around. And so that was really inspirational to me. And I made a complete 180. Like it's so funny now because I'll run into people who knew me at 19, 18, 21, 22, and they're like, dude, you're like a completely different person. I'm like, yeah,
I
man,
love that.
I switched it up. Like I completely went to war with myself and put away the childish behaviors and the ego and those types of things. And so over
Yes.
time, I grew. And what I found was by coaching kids as I was going through my own process and being open with them and sharing with them, like, hey, man, I'm not perfect. And these are the mistakes that I made. And this is how I'm going to help you avoid that mistake. And then in the meantime, we're going to get strong and we're going to learn how to fall in love with the process in the weight room. That really energized me, and it gave me more energy to continue working on myself because I realized the impact that I was having and the responsibility that I had. Like there were certain things, and I've said this before, the best moments in your coaching career don't come on the game day. They come when you're in the office with a kid that needs you. They come when somebody calls you and they need you. You know, those are the moments that like you have to step up as a man and as a coach and realize the responsibility you have. And so as I grew through it, you know, that just continued to be the message for me, that it was never about, I say all the time, it's not about rings, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
So like I coached for 10 years. I was fortunate to win a lot of championships. There's only one ring behind me. I only took one in 10 years because the relationships are what matter to me. And so the scoreboard and the audit system that I have now, that's kind of a reflection of all the things that I've learned and the systems that I've put in my place to keep myself in check that I use. So all these things that you see in my content, whether it's me talking about systems, processes, the scoreboard is one, the pyramid was my other book. These are all systems that I use. These are things that I use to get myself to where I am now and to continue to grow and to make sure that I continue to grow. And so the audit system is built around every quarter sitting down and analyzing the pillars of your life. So your health, your relationships, your finances, your mindset, your habits, your social circles, all those things, and assessing where am I at, what's serving me, what do I need to change, what systems are working, what's not working, what role am I playing in that, and then what are my goals for it moving forward, right? So it's really a complete system to get you on track and keep you moving in the right direction because it forces you to look at it, you know. And I tell people all the time, I practice what I preach. Like I'm talking to you right now, but my scoreboard is printed out right there, it's hanging above me.
Yeah. And that is key, sir. Being a person that does what he also is teaching. And I caught that on your last episode. I forget the coach's name, but he used to wake up and work out before the team
Coach
did.
Lou,
And
man. Coach Lou Caralla.
So so he mentioned something about that as in just being, because believe me, as a teen athlete, I used to dislike these coaches who were clearly out of shape and would tell you to do 100 or so up downs, and you know they couldn't do it themselves. So I definitely appreciate that. I wish one of my I think I may have had a coach that was very similar to that, but not to that extent. Man, I love that because that mindset, it just shows that, okay, yeah, he's not just telling me and pushing me, but he's also practicing what he's preaching. What are some more of the pillars and the core principles of your audit system, and how did you come and more about how did you come to develop it?
Yeah, so the pillars that I look at, like I said earlier, I look at the habits, your relationships, your mindset, your physical well-being, and then your finance or your business and career. Those are the main pillars that I look at. And so what I do is I audit those every quarter. And I go through and I literally have a score system for it. And I ask myself what works, what doesn't work, et cetera. What results am I getting? How do I play into those results? The way that I built that was because I noticed that I had certain habits in my life that kept the whole system together. They kept the whole system running smoothly, right? So it might be working out, it might be meditating, it might be reading, whatever floats your boat, man, whatever works for you. But you got to identify what are your keystone habits. And then from there, you can build a whole system around them. And so for me, that helps me stay on track with those habits. It helps me stay on track with a keystone habit in each pillar of my life. And there's also little things that I keep in my life, like I call them discipline alarms. So they're little things that I notice, and it's like a check engine light. Like, oh, if I didn't do that, I know that other things are probably shaking or probably slipping in my life. So for instance, like I'm a sneakerhead. I love shoes. So my room is filled with shoes. But I put them back in a certain slot. They're color coded all across the walls and stuff. So I know if I come in the house and there's a pair of shoes on my bedroom floor or a pair of shoes in my living room, I know something's not right. Like maybe I'm not sleeping right. Maybe I'm really hitting a wall, whatever, because that's a keystone habit for me. It's a little dumb thing, but it's a discipline alarm. It's something that tells me, hey, you're slipping.
You're slipping. I like that. And you know what? It takes a lot of honesty to do so. So when we're in these positions of either growing a business or starting a business or even just wanting to get to the next level, how does a person use this system to get to their next level or to, in the beginning phases of things?
Yeah, in the beginning phases, it's just being honest. It's defining who am I? What do I want in this life? Like really getting really clear on that. This is going to fire me up. You're going to hear the passion here because I'm so passionate about this. There's so many people that don't know what they want in life, and then they blink and they're 45, 50 years old working a job they hate. You got to know who you are. You got to know what you want. Like, what is your vision, man? What is the thing that you want? And I tell people, your vision is this. It's the first sentence that people say about you at your funeral. That's your vision, right? So when somebody stands up and talks about me at my funeral, I want them to stand up there and I want them to say, Kitch left a legacy for his family to be proud of. That's my vision. That's it. Yeah. And then from there, you define your mission. What am I going to do on a daily basis that's going to push me towards my vision? So for me, I want to wake up every single day. I want to inspire the greatness in everybody that I come around, in whatever version they're capable of. I want to bring out the best version of people around me, right? Then you have your values that are the things that ground you. So you figure out what are 4 or 5 things that you are about, that you fight for. So people say, like, what do you stand for? I hate that, because chasing your vision is not a passive activity. Standing is a passive activity. You can't just stand on the right track, right? You're still going to get run over when the train comes.
Yep.
And if you're chasing your vision, the storm is coming. The storm is coming. So I look at it as, what are my values? What do I fight for? What are the things that if somebody came in my life today and they told me, Kitch, you're no longer an author, you're no longer an entrepreneur, you're no longer a business owner, all these different things. What are the things that I would use to rebuild my life? Those are my values. Those are what you're about. So when I look at it, I sat down and I said, okay, what are 4 things that I would use to rebuild my life? Number 1, I'm honest. I'm going to be honest with everybody that I come across. I tell people from the first couple conversations, I'll never lie to you. And that comes with responsibility, right? Don't ask me questions you don't want the answer to, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not the friend to tell you everything is good if it's not good. I'll hold you accountable. Yes, Number 2, I'm caring. I genuinely care about people. I want to see people be successful. It's not about me. It's not about me at all. Number 3, I'm driven. All right. I talk about the treadmill test. I'm a big dude. I don't care what shape you're in. If we get on the treadmill next to each other, you're getting off first. Period. Because I can control that.
I love it.
I can control that. That's a work ethic thing, right? And then lastly, I'm committed to growth. I want to be the best version of myself in as many areas as I possibly can. But what people get wrong is it's not about being perfect. I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday, right? Yes. I want to live a life chasing the answer to the question that a lot of people avoid. They spend their whole lives avoiding the question. What are you truly capable of? What would it look like if you went all in? Most people avoid that question their whole lives. They sit in the stands, right? I want to live in the arena. I want to be committed to growth. I want to try and wake up every day and try and be a little bit better than I was yesterday. That's what I'm about. And so I have those values that protect me, because no matter what's going on in my life, as I'm trying to level up, I know the 4 things that this whole thing is built on. I know what I need to do every single day. I need to inspire greatness in the people around me. I know what I'm trying to do at the end, at the peak of the mountain. I'm trying to leave a legacy for my family to be proud of, right? It says it right there, leave a legacy. Every day, it has to be there. So for anybody that's starting out, sit down, get clear on your character. Get clear on who you are, who you're not. Because here's the thing, bro. Luck will take you part of the way up the mountain. Talent will take you about halfway. Then you're going to encounter dead bodies. You're going to encounter blood and guts. You're going to encounter storms. You're going to encounter people trying to tear you down. You're going to encounter all these different things. The only thing that takes you the rest of the way to the peak is character, period.
Yeah, man, I want to live in the arena. I like that. The gladiator, the fighter, the warrior. Like, that energy is so necessary and key in today's world, because with so much chaos, we need to find the warrior within ourselves. Thank you for sharing that. Really
absolutely, man. That. You had me fired up, man. I apologize for the tangent, but that
no, not at all.
I get
brother,
going.
Not at all. Not at all. Here, the Beyonders, they love that, man. We are tapped into it, because that's the type of mindset that we need, that sometimes, especially to channel into, and we forget the words and keys that to give us that access. And like I said, living in the arena, the idea of always waking up, fighting for what you're looking for, and going after what you're desiring, it's necessary. Like, that's just that energy that we need. You know,
it's a requirement.
That's just what it is.
It's a requirement for greatness.
Come on, man. So fill me in. Tell me more about what's your mission and what's next on the list for Coach Kitch.
Yeah, so I've built Edge Leadership Academy now. So we do mentorship, we do coaching, we do keynote addresses, I do one-on-one coaching. We have online stuff as well with athletes. We do it with athletics teams. We do it with administrators. We do it with entrepreneurs and the business side, the corporate side. I do a lot of corporate speaking as well. We're in the process right now of launching the second part of our mentorship group. So we just launched our first part, which is called The Table. So we say everybody wants a seat at it. Everybody wants to bring something to it. So we got the table. Come sit with us. So that's our mentorship group. We do weekly calls with that. Aside from that, man, I've also written 2 books. I'm working on my third one right now, which ironically is actually called Life in the Arena. We're working on that as well. So man, what's next? I just want to spread the message. I just want people to understand, like, successful people are not special. They just build systems and processes that make it really hard for them to fail. And all of this stuff is things that you can learn, man. If I can do this, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm a black kid from a single parent household in America. Like, I shouldn't be a PhD candidate. I was the youngest head strength coach in all of college athletics at 24 years old. I didn't have an exercise science degree. I had a business degree. Like, if I can do this stuff, anybody can. I'm not special.
Yeah.
But it's built. It's not born. People aren't born special. You got to build the skills, right? So, that's what's next for me, man. Is just keep building, keep spreading the message, keep helping people. That's what I want to do. I want to add value, man, as much as I can.
And if you can you dig a little bit deeper into the Life in an Arena? What inspired this book? You said it's your third. I would love to hear some of the cornerstone principles that you're talking about in this book.
Yeah, man. So this one's a little bit different. So the first book I wrote was The Pyramid. It was a down and dirty field guide for coaches on how to build leaders in their teams. And as I wrote it, I felt I had more to say, but I gave myself a page limit because I wanted it to be quick. I wanted coaches to be able to read it on the fly and move on. So I wrote that one. That came out. It was great, but I always felt like it wasn't finished. The second one came out, The Scoreboard. And that was more on the personal side. That was more like individuals, high performance, how to manage yourself, how to lead yourself first. And so I felt like, and I've always felt like, there's this gap that needs to be filled between them, right? Because we know that theory is great, but execution is what's worshipped. So we need to talk about how do we apply these things. And so Life in the Arena is going to be more of the anecdotal, the experiential, the actual lessons that you're going to need to apply to be able to be the best version of yourself and be able to be a great leader. So we're going to talk about developing your vision, mission, and values. You're going to learn how to build character. You're going to learn about habits and routines, consistency and discipline. We'll talk a lot about communication, how to handle adversity and resilience, managing your internal dialogue, conquering fear, and then leading teams and building culture. Like, it's going to be a lot more comprehensive. There's going to be 12 main topics that are going to be the chapters that will be what I call my 12 pillars of high performance.
Come on, man. I hope you guys are listening. Like, these are keys that I like to cover as well. The mindset down to building leaders, all these things. That sounds really great. Like, where can we get the book? And when are you looking to release it?
Oh, you're putting pressure on me, man. You're putting pressure on me. I just started going public about the book. So I'm hoping to have it released. My goal is by this time next year to have it on shelves. I'm putting my heart and my soul into this thing. And so I haven't rushed it, man. That's because the first 2, you know what, I got done and I was like, I wanted to add more to those. And so this one, it's been cool too, because I've had the opportunity, because it's anecdotal and there's experiences in it, I've had the opportunity to sit down with my family and talk about my history and talk about my childhood and things. So it's almost like it's been this process that I almost don't want to taint it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to rush it. Like, it's been cool, man. So yeah, it's hopefully by next year it'll be out.
Okay, well that's we'll wait on that. We'll definitely wait on that. But until then, you guys got to check out The Pyramid and the other book as well. What was the name of the second title?
The Scoreboard.
The Scoreboard. The Scoreboard. Yep. So, Coach, man, I appreciate you just jumping on and talking to me about this, like success tips and ideas of ways for people to continue to, motivate themselves and continue to grow. I do this thing that I like to, I call it my 3 take or my quick 3, right? I ask 3 quick questions, want to get your answer, about a minute or so for to answer, and, do this with a lot of my guests. So are you down for it?
I'm down, man.
Okay, cool. So first question, is if you only had 2 minutes left on Earth, what is the song you're listening to?
That's a great question right there. Gut reaction?
Mm-hmm.
Probably middle child J. Cole.
Let's go.
That's
Let's
good.
go.
If I'm going out, I'm going out turned up.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You know what? I've had guests say that, like, not the exact thing, not the same song, but as in, if I'm going to go out, I'm going out on top of it. You're like,
Yeah.
I love that idea. Okay. Love it. Second, what is the most influential book and or quote or piece of literature that you crossed in your life so far?
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. That was phenomenal. It changed the way I'm really deep into Stoicism, and I like the principles of Stoicism, and that really changed the way I think about things. So that's when I go through the daily Stoic every day as well. So pretty much anything that falls in that Stoicism thing is good.
Cool. And you are a sneakerhead, so I gotta go ahead and take this one. To it might sound a little personal. If you had to move in the next 3 hours and only could take one pair of shoes with you, what would you take?
Out of versatility, I'd probably take a pair of my ones, Jordan ones.
Mm-hmm.
But oh man, dude, that
I know it's not fair. It's not fair.
maybe the Oreo 4s. I don't know.
Woo! Let's go.
I don't know.
Let's go. Okay, but it
That's
sounds
hard,
like
bro.
it's J's for sure. It's J's for sure.
It's definitely. I'm weird now. You're gonna catch me in J's, you'll catch me in Kobe's, or you'll catch me in cowboy boots. People sleep on them. People sleep on them.
I used to wear cowboy boots when I was much younger. I had the black and white joints. I even had some brown ones like the snakeskin or gator skin. I'm from the South as well, so it's like we wore those guys to church. It was a fit.
I grew up in the country. People get shook because they're like, I'll be out here shouting, like I said, J. Cole earlier, right?
Yeah,
but if you walk in my house, it's a 50-50 split whether you're going to hear rap or you're going to hear country music.
Come on, man. You got to have a little bit of both. I think when you're raised up in the South, all that just kind of mixes in. It's a part of your culture. So, yeah, I definitely understand. So, all right. I like to allow my guests to always leave us with some final words. Quick 2 minutes. What do you have to say to the people and those who are listening and looking for inspiration and motivation?
Yeah, man. I think the biggest thing I would always remind people is you're never as far away as you think you are. Like, you're one decision away from a completely different life, and nobody's going to do it for you. Like, it is your story. You got to pick up the pen and decide whether you're the villain or the hero. And that's completely up to you, and nobody can do it for you. But just remember, like, you can change courses. You can do all these things in your life. All it takes is one connection, one conversation, one yes to change the way everything looks for you. So don't be afraid to take that swing, man. I tell people all the time, take big swings.
There you have it. There it is. Another episode of Beyond Six Figures with Coach D-Kitch. If you're looking for Coach, you can find him on all platforms at Coach D-Kitch. That's Coach D as in David, Kitch on all platforms. And if you're looking to engage in conversations like this one that you heard today, click the link in the show notes and sign up for the weekly newsletter that I send out every Friday. It's called your Weekly Agreement. So if you want to engage in more conversations with the community, if you want to ask questions of me and want to hear my answers on a weekly basis, go ahead and sign up for that newsletter. So until I see you great people, be blessed, be vigilant, be curious, be you. Peace.